disappointed out?
Yeah, disappointed in 1 minute of madness. The whole game wasn't a brilliant game, I didn't think, but partly the pitch was a very slow pitch. No one's fault, of course, other than the weather. And we never really brought much tempo until the second half, a bit better, I thought, and then asked a few more questions. We get a penalty, we miss it, and then 54 seconds untold of madness, because I'm looking at it going, I can't quite believe what I'm seeing for that 1 minute-ish. Just simple basics and not dealing with it. They get a bit lucky, it bobbles into the box, but we should have dealt with it way quicker than that. And it's sort of one of them weird things in football. We gave them a lift and we didn't respond to it. We looked all a bit disappointed and stopped doing the basics for 1 minute. Other than that, it's a flat game, not a lot of energy to the game, I didn't think, and we come away with a point, I would imagine, and a clean sheet, and we didn't.
Were you concerned about that sort of apparent lack of energy, or how did you kind of see it?
No, it's a different group, and so we're changing the group, we want that group to be stimulated, and there have been a lot of them players who played. We've had 1 draw and 3 wins in this contest until tonight. They've trained fantastically well. I let them know very early they were going to play. And it didn't quite happen on the night, just a bit, lacklustre, I thought. But both teams, I did think it was quite a slow, sort of cagey game. Didn't think there was much in it with the sort of feel of the game. And a bit of a flat game, I thought, to be honest. Really interesting stadium, cool stadium in many ways, but sort of an odd stadium. There's not that kind of energy, that kind of buzz about it. You know what I mean? So that was probably maybe a bit different for the players. I can't describe it with that sort of intense feeling, you know what I mean? And our fans were brilliant, but they're miles away, so I don't know, maybe that was what made it feel a bit different than what I was looking at, if that makes sense.
You mentioned
we just need to do a bit of interpretation,
sorry, yes.
What did you make of their reaction? I know it wasn't all of them, but obviously a section did kind of...
Yeah, of course, frustrated, I'm sure. Without a doubt, they want to do well in this contest. We want to do well in it. We've got 2 contests going on, and the bigger picture is it has to be the Premier League just because of the power of it. We know that, but this is a great competition, and the clubs waited a long time to get into. Like I said, it's frustrating to me because we have changed the team in the other games. With 1 draw and 3 wins, and probably the other draw we could have won it. It's frustrating when that game's a flat one. The other games have had a bit more energy, a bit more spark in them, and and just to see that group and not really, I'm waiting for them to lay a mark down. They've been terrific all week in training. As I said, we let them know early they were going to play. And they've been really up for it, and it just was a bit of a slow, methodical performance, and nothing to it really other than that. And then 1 minute of madness, as I said. Should come away with a clean sheet. Well, obviously we scored a penalty. I think the whole thing changes, to be honest. But we didn't. So yes, they're frustrated. Of course I understand their frustration. A lot of expectation this season. I know because I lived in the area before I was manager. Despite 2 managers and all the different players, they're still frustrated. And I said to them, it's going to take time. We haven't got magic dust. We're working with these players every day to try and form into a big unit, because the unit is important because of the game schedule. Not just the 11 in the Premier League, the whole unit, the whole group.
What do you think were the main tactical aspects defensively that allowed Braga to keep the clean sheet? And also, do you think that in the second half, Forest could have used more of the combinations on the right flank as we saw in the first half?
I think games vary and what you're trying to bring. Obviously, you'll all understand, I'm sure we haven't currently got a centre forward for this competition because Igor Jesus is injured and Toma's not. He can't play in this competition. So that's a challenge at whatever level you're playing at. We wanted to ask more questions than we did, but the combinations, I think, are varied over a game. It's very difficult to play down one side of the pitch constantly, so that was bound to change. And I thought we actually started the second half with more tempo and more pressing in our play and more power in our play going forwards, and obviously got a penalty. So the signs were getting better, but then you missed the penalty, and then we didn't react to that, and they did. Like I say, there was a bit of luck involved, but I'm not crying that in. It just bobbled through the box, and that sometimes happens, but we should have dealt with it way before that. The response to that is energetic, but there's no real killer edge, and it is difficult when you haven't got a recognised centre forward. And we've asked down a lot tonight. He's not a recognised centre forward. We've asked a lot of him, and he's worked very hard. But we couldn't find a way, and we didn't find a way. And that's been a challenge since we've been at the club, and before I was at the club, to find a way to score more goals. It's an ongoing challenge.
Frustrated. Are you frustrated because you've gone from what was relative high against Arsenal to being a bit of a flat performance, as you say, tonight? At the start of your tenure, everything felt really positive and optimistic, and it just feels like a bit of that's being lost a little bit with performances like this?
No, I don't think it's that. I think there's a high expectation at the club. I knew it before I came here. You know, they had such a super-powered season last season. Signed a load of players, you know, and I think everyone just expected it to just carry on, and it's not been that easy, obviously. So I was expecting a bumpy road. I wasn't expecting it to be easy, mainly because of the squad of players and the varying competitions to go through. So I don't think that. I think that, you know, just taking 4 points in the Premier League, which are 4 losses, which crept up on us, which the Premier League can do. I'm well versed in that. But then how do you respond to that? Well, 4 points out of 2 games is a very good response. And obviously, Arsenal being a superpower, we know that, the way their season's going. You know, I suppose the idea is to keep that going, and we've had that in the previous rounds of the Europa Cup by mixing the team, and we didn't tonight. You know, and that's my frustration, is just, you know, building that bit of energy, a bit of belief, and then it goes flat in a performance. But they've been... The main frustration for me is we've seen them work all week. We more or less told the side on Sunday who were playing that they've been terrific. The way they've been training, the energy they've put in, maximising the chance to train and be prepared. So that's frustrating, you know, as a coach and manager and a coaching team, that's frustrating. And I'm sure for the players as well. You know, don't go out there to not make it spark and not make it happen. But no one's really gripping it. And, you know, I want the players here to... Players who are maybe not playing all the time in the Premier League to go and grip these games and show me, the staff and themselves that I'm ready. You know, they were only getting sort of bits of that, or certainly in this performance, there's only bits of that. There's no real mark has been laid down where I go, right, you know, you're ready and you're next in sort of thing. You know, we want that competition from the whole group, not from just the current team that's been playing in the Premier League. And that's frustrating for them and for me.
Person like Braga, who competes in the Premier League level?
I'm not going to question whether they can or they can't. You know, they'd have to find their way, because many different leagues think they can, and you never know until you get there. All I would say is most people, most coaches, managers, players speak about the Premier League as being arguably the best in the world, and the hardest in the world, and the most competitive in the world. You know, the bottom beating top and all that sort of stuff. So what I would say is a big challenge. For any team going into the Premier League, it's a massive challenge.